Hello, everybody. How does it sound in the back? All right. Yay. So, welcome to Community Conversations. This is our last event for the spring term. Everybody go, oh.
Oh,
But I've got some very exciting news. We have got the Spring Arts Festival going on, basically for the rest of the day here over in the Rose Center. So, after this, if you just want to keep the party rolling, head on over there. I do believe we've got some music. I believe we've got some origami going on. All right. So feel free to come out to that as well. And of course, as we get closer to fall term, keep an eye on our website. We'll have more information about upcoming series. Our fall series is going to be called It's a Mystery.
ooh.
Ooh, intriguing. So today I want to welcome a speaker. Sarah Griffith has worked at LCC in various capacities since 2010 when she started in the CCP department. She's now the director of e-learning and enjoys helping people with technology. As an unrepentant extrovert, Sarah loves being with people, and playing board games was a natural way to meet new people and bond over a common interest. If Sarah is ever too much, just ask her to tone it down a bit and she will concede. I say to that, no, be yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Sarah.
Thank you. I say unrepentant, and then I say you can tell me to tone it down, and I'm repentant about it. So that's me in a nutshell. Hello, welcome. So my name is Sarah, as you now know, and I am not professing to be an expert at board games, but I do have a passion for it. Um, uh, it is, yeah. Green. I mean, it's there, but I guess it's not close enough to my mouth. Okay, cool. So what we are going to talk about today is board games and building community. So what we are doing, let me just kind of give you kind of I'd like to gauge the room to see how y'all are doing, what you all feel about board games. So if just from the crowd, if you could tell me, what's your favorite board, dice, or card game? Anybody? How many of you play board games? I guess maybe that's another good. Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. So those of you that play board games, what's your favorite? Yes. Scrabble and Sorry, love it. Classics. Yeah, John. Clue. I grew up on Clue. That is one of the reasons I am how I am today. So, yeah, David. Nice. That's a great party game. Yeah, Courtney. Azul. I love Azul. Okay, that one's pretty. Yeah, Miranda. Catan classic. I think that's Linda's favorite as well. So yeah, this is going to be shameful to say, I've never played Catan, and yet I'm here to talk about board games. I know. So, and my other question, how do board games make you feel? Like, what are some of the feelings you have when you're playing board games? Powerful, uh-huh. Anybody else? How do you feel with board games? Inept. Inept, okay. Michelle? Feisty? Okay, nice. Yeah, that competitiveness. Okay, cool. Yeah. Anybody ever feel cooperative? Like you're working with people? No? Okay. I know what group this is now, so thank you. So we're going to talk about board games today and kind of who I am first, so you know what I'm talking about. This is me and my dog Duke. This is me organizing my board game room. One of my favorite pastimes. Everything is categorized by what do you call it? Type and then alphabetized. So I also work in the library, the Learning Commons, so that should also indicate who I am as well. I really like alphabetizing things, but this is kind of who I am. I'm very happy. I love board games. And just to give you an idea, I have played in 2024 426 games, 426 plays. So I am playing a lot of board games. And that's with various people, various times. That's over a board game a day. But I don't actually play a board game a day. These are like weekend events that I'm doing. So this is kind of just an idea of all the board games. It's a very pretty grid. But Sorry is not on there. I should add Sorry to my list, honestly. But I do love Scrabble too. So, the board game progression of my board game room, I started with a closet full of games. Like these are my games, they're in my closet, this is where they stay. And then, COVID times were rough. And so we had to find things to do. And board games, that was a good option of things to do during COVID. So my game collection outgrew the closet, and my long-suffering husband has continuously built me shelves to put these games on. So this is kind of the progression of that until finally I have a question for you. How many board games do you think I own? No, lower, actually. Oh, that is so close. So close. Also very close. Just a little bit higher. Oh, maybe a little higher than that, though. Sorry. Thank you. It is 353 games. So that gives me a lot of variety to introduce people to. And so I have all these games. This is the finished game room now that I invite people over to. And I thought, I have all these games. What am I doing with these games? I can't just play them by myself. I need to make friends. So, what I thought was, I work at a really cool place. I love LCC. I know there are other people that like games as well. I've been to conferences where sometimes they have a game night. And honestly, a conference that I went with Courtney to, InstructureCon, got this idea first started. So I was like, I am having so much fun getting to know these instructors on this board game thing. We played Pandemic. It was a co-op game. Courtney taught us how to play. And I was like, this is such a great feeling. When I play board games, I feel rejuvenated. I feel compassion, I guess, a little bit. I feel competitive, but I also just feel a sense of community with the people that I'm playing games with. And I love that. And I want to share that with people. So that is why I own all these board games. It's not an obsession. People say I have an addiction. We're just going to ignore that. I don't have an addiction. This isn't a problem. So just to give you an idea, this whole thing is titled Making Friends with Meeples. And there are two pieces of that. Meeples are a game piece, and around the tables, you have a sticker of a meeple, and you have a little meeple character. So what exactly is a meeple? It's a board game piece. It's used in Carcassonne. That is kind of where it came about, really. And it's a cool thing you could call your friends. Yo, meeple, what's up? Maybe not. But it's also one of my favorite things, a portmanteau. And a portmanteau is when you take two words and stick them together to make a new super word. So meeple is a combination of my people. And so that is essentially what a meeple is. So it's got that sense of community right there too. And it's also kind of a symbol of the board game community. If you see somebody that has a meeple on their water bottle, on their car, that's how you can identify my car. I hope you all like me and won't do anything mean to it. But you can tell that somebody else likes board games if you see a meeple on something that they're wearing or doing or whatever. So that's kind of to give you an idea of why I called this Making Friends with Meeples. So we have different board game types. These are very generic types. And I brought some examples of each type. Within each category, there are other subcategories. Let's see. Strategy, you've got engine building, you've got worker placement, you've got all these other things. But the generic overview is strategy games, cooperative games, and party games. And so strategy games are like these right here. Splendor is one that first got me introduced into the board game industry, basically. It's what they call a gateway game. And so gateway games are kind of what get you started, basically. This one is strategy, but it's easy enough strategy that people can learn it pretty quickly. And it has enough working pieces to make it interesting. Other ones, I really like pretty games. So a lot of my games are very pretty. They have really pretty pieces. River Valley Glassworks has little stone pieces that you move around a board. Coffee Rush has cute little cups that you put items in, little ingredients. It's very cute. So these are what we would call strategy games. Things that make you think, that make you kind of work the board. They are competitive games. Next, we have the cooperative games, which is like fun facts and just one. And so these are games where you're working together to beat the game or to win together. So they kind of build community. They're really good board games to get to know each other with and kind of to see how other people think. So I really like those. Fun Facts is also a really good one just to get to know people. We've had this one at our board game community a few times. And let me just read you one of the questions. So like on a scale from 0 to 100, how much do you enjoy cooking? So what would happen is you would put your answer on this little thing, and then all of you would organize it so that way you can learn and try and figure out how much everybody likes cooking. So just that's kind of a cooperative game example. And then we have party games. So party games are ones that are competitive and cooperative, possibly, and they are very easy to learn and easy to teach. So you can just get started playing immediately. Games like this include like Taboo, Pictionary, Poetry for Neanderthals, if you've ever heard of that one. And so these examples, I've got Hues and Cues, Suro, and Wavelength. And so these are ones where you're trying to get your team, usually, to guess something and win the game. So very team-based in party games a lot. So do I have any questions on those types of categories at all? No? All right, cool. So because I have all these games and I want to build community and I want to get to know people across campus, I started Board Game Lunch. And that was a way, because I mean, different areas can be very siloed. You don't get to see people over in student services all the time, or instruction, or we've got all these different areas. And this was a way to bring anybody that wanted to together to get together, learn about each other, play some games, be friendly, competitive, but also cooperative as well. So it started in winter 2023. And it was really born of that idea from InstructureCon pre-COVID, but it took a while for us to get back from COVID. So it was delayed a bit. And then really we're looking for a way to build deeper relationships. And we also want a safe, welcoming space for everyone. That's really important. And it's a desire to meet people across campus. And honestly, I was really tired of interacting digitally. So many Zoom meetings, so many times where we see each other through a screen and not in real life. Video games are great, but this is a way to like get in touch with people, like see people, be with people. And so some of the benefits, with building community, you can belong to a community and it improves resilience and reduces anxiety and depression. You also create stronger social relationships and you're 50% more likely to live longer. So if you want to live a longer life, community, hang out with people. Also, employees who feel a sense of belonging are 56% more productive, 50% less likely to leave the company, and 167% more likely to recommend their organization. You're welcome, LCC. That's what we're doing here. So I'm kind of curious, what makes y'all feel welcome in a space? This is everybody. Come on, it can be anything. What makes you feel welcome? Snacks. Thank you. Snacks. Enough chairs. Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So enough chairs, kind of a good space that seems like it'll accommodate everybody. Yeah. Yeah, in the back. Acknowledgement. That's awesome. A greeting, just a friendly face, somebody saying hi to you. Yeah. Anybody else? A lack of formality. I like that. Yes. Yeah. You got to be easygoing. Yeah, Michelle. An invite. Yes. Yeah. So just sending out an invite to say that you're welcome, that we want you there. So yeah, those are all really good answers. And then, so setting up a welcoming space, we're encouraging participation. So when you come in, we encourage folks to say, their piece, to participate, to be involved. We're also giving options. So when I do a board game lunch, we have lots of options, kind of like this display right here. And so we can decide if we're feeling competitive today, if we're feeling cooperative today. Maybe we just want something easy that doesn't require a lot of thinking because it's been a rough week. So we always have those options. And then something that's very important, you have to be okay with losing. Like you've gotta. Life isn't going to be very fun. Failure is okay. We're not all going to be winning the game. There are ties, but you've got to be okay with failure and with losing. Because honestly, that's not the point of board game lunch. I know board games, it sounds like it, but the point of board game lunch in community is getting together, is being with each other, is learning from each other. It's really the experience. And I know my competitive folks they're like, whatever, come on. But it's true. It's really true. And snacks. I had snacks on here. Yes, snacks are very, very important to create a welcoming space. All right, so let's talk about ways that you can get involved across campus. We have Tabletop Tuesdays or the LCC board game group, and they are students and staff are welcome to that. It's every Tuesday from 2 to 4 in the Student Center upstairs. I think they've stopped for the quarter because we're getting towards the end, but they should start back up next quarter. And then we also have board game lunches for staff that you can come to. And there's one today at 1 o'clock. So I would like to invite you all to come to that if you want to, but it's going to be an open house one this time. And then we also have the Adult Tabletop Society at the Woodland Public Library. So the Woodland Public Library, they have that, it's specific dates. The next one is July 5th from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And that one is open to everybody. So that one is actually a really good event with a lot of people and a lot of board game options to select from. Kelso Public Library has in-house board games that you can check out. And so you can go there, you can't take them home, but you can get a group of people together and go play a game at the Kelso Public Library. And then we also have Contrarian Game Cafe in Salmon Creek. They have a board game library available for you to use in that cafe. They have food options. It's actually a really great atmosphere and a really fun place to go and play board games. And that's actually what this picture is from. They also have board games that you can purchase. That's my husband in the background looking at a game. We also have Blue Cat Cafe in town. So Blue Cat Cafe is in the Three Rivers Mall, and it's a cafe and they have a board game library. So all of these places have libraries that you can pick from, so you can try out games before you buy them and see if it's something that you like. Yeah, did you have a... Oh, what is that? A pickle eating contest. Okay. That's awesome. Lots of various events at Blue Cat Cafe. I think they do bingo on Monday nights at least once a month as well. And I think it's like $1 buy-in or something. So if you like bingo, that is also another option. And then Emerald Haven is actually just over on Ocean Beach Highway, and they have various events. And if you want to get started purchasing some games, they have used games as well. So it's a really great, games can be expensive, way overpriced, especially with all of the tariffs that are coming in. So board games are, it's kind of changing over time now what the cost of those are going to be. Getting into the industry or the hobby with used games is a great way to do it. There is also one that I forgot to list here is Vancouver Board Game Group on Facebook. So they actually get groups together in various spots in Vancouver, sometimes even in Woodland and Longview area. And so they have Friday night games that are open to everybody. If you would like to go and participate in that, they have really friendly folks that will teach you games and honestly have a game library for you to select from too. So that's really a great option. Okay, and so this is just a plug to say you can play games anywhere. Oh, I'm sorry, was there a question? Oh, okay. I looked at their website. So it was suggested that Longview Public Library has games that you can check out as well. So that's a really good option too. I looked at their list and I couldn't see many, but I know they have a library of things, right? Yeah, yeah. So there is a library of things. Secondhand stores. I've gotten a lot of games at Goodwill, actually. Yeah, yeah. Red Hat Society would be another one that probably has games. Yeah. So those are really good suggestions. Thank you. What was that again? The link? The link. Oh, okay. Youth and Family Link also has secondhand options too then. Okay. On commerce. Okay, perfect. I'm repeating it so the folks in Zoom can hear the good suggestions you're giving. Yeah. Yep. And so this is a quick plug to say you can play games anywhere. I highly encourage you, if you go to a restaurant with friends, take a deck of cards along, take some games along. Usually restaurants love that you're playing games in there and maybe buying some more drinks while you're sitting there. So I highly recommend that. We will play games camping. I have this group of friends that I've had since high school, and we all love board games. So we will go camping together, bring our bags of games, and we even play games at weddings. So if you're at a wedding reception and you're waiting, I mean, it's a good opportunity. Anywhere there's a table, you can honestly play a game. So I highly recommend that. Do we have any other questions? I blew through this really fast because I am a fast talker. So, David. Yes, I do. So I have, oh, David asked a great question. How do you keep track of games? And do you keep track of the day you play them throughout the year? The answer is yes. And I have this app from the Board Game Geek. So boardgamegeek.com, they have an app that you can download that keeps track of stats. So every time I play a game, I enter it in there. I say who played the game, who won. So FYI, if you've ever played a game with me, you are in my stats. I'm sorry? I don't know. But I also know how often I win. I say I'm not that competitive, but I know how often I win. So maybe that's a detriment to me too. I don't know. But that's how I was able to get that picture with all of the games I played over 2024. It gives me stats and running tallies of what I'm doing and what my friends are doing that play games with me too. So boardgamegeek.com. That's also where I go to read reviews on games. BoardGameGeek.com has lots of great reviews, and you can see what people are rating them. There's also different weights to games. So if you have a game that you're interested in, a lot of times you can judge a game by what its weight rating is, whether it's something that's for people just getting started out, or if it's something that's maybe a little more heavy. So they have light to heavy, and then there's ratings right in between there, like a 1 to 10 rating. Another thing to think of is the age limit. So on games, they have a lot of different information. There's the age that they recommend it for. Usually it's like 8 and older, 10 and older, 14 and older. And then how long it takes to play the game when you already know it. And then how many people can play the game. So for example, Splendor is 10 and older. It is 30 minutes it'll take to play. And then also 2 to 4 players can play it. So that's kind of, they give you some information on those board game boxes that help you pick games out. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, I am vaguely familiar of this concept of like the new European game,
Yes.
like with Ticket to Ride is sort of one of the big breakthroughs and
Mhm.
stuff. How is that like? Do you know about that? And have you like, what's your thoughts on it basically?
Yeah, I do know some about it. So European games are typically ones that came from Europe, a lot of times Germany. Germany is very big into producing board games, strategy, really thinky games. So the European games are more strategy and very much a I'm going to do this and this and this, and really, really thinking about it. Not party games typically, not co-op games typically.
You're suggesting that Germany is very regimented?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
I would think the obvious question is, what's your favorite board game? So instead, I'm going to ask, are there any like taboo games at your household that people don't want to play with you anymore?
Well, I'm not a fan of Cards Against Humanity. Like, it's not, I don't like the games that are super luck based because then I have no control over what happens. And I guess I'm a controlling person a little bit. So luck based, also opinion based ones, and that's Cards Against Humanity is opinion based. So Cards Against Humanity, cards, CARDS. Yeah, sure thing. So that one is very much an opinion, like somebody picks their favorite card. However, I do love Ransom Notes. So Ransom Notes is a game similar to Cards Against Humanity, but you're using magnets to create the answer to the prompt. So there's some creativity to it. So you're creating the card that you're giving to the person, basically. So like a prompt might be write a review for a pair of underwear you bought from Amazon. And then you're going to take these magnets and write a review for that underwear that you bought from Amazon.
So it's kind of like magnetic poetry, but you're making
Yeah.
a review. Okay,
Yep,
cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Did I see a?
Oh, did you also ask me my favorite game though? Cascadia. So it's very hard to pick a top game for me since I have so many. So I have like a top 20, and that one's near the top of my top 20. Yeah.
Do you keep track of the wins, losses in addition?
Yes, yes, I do. So I can tell you what my percentage is. It's not as high as you would think because winning doesn't matter. Okay. I just keep telling myself that. Um, It doesn't make it real, but I'm gonna keep saying it. So for example, let me go ahead and bring up my stats. So I have a 34% victory rate, and I have played 639 plays. Yeah. So I haven't been keeping track very long, actually. This is like last year and maybe January of 2024 or 2023 is when I started keeping track. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of folks are familiar with games like card games and other
Mhm.
games we played as kids. And for me, I find that folks don't really have a really great, they don't know how in depth this gets. What's the most in-depth board game you've ever played, and how long did it take?
Yeah. So there is one called Above and Below, and it's kind of a role-playing game. So you have a character that you're going through a journey with, basically. And honestly, the learning time with that one alone took like an hour, like figuring out how to play this game. And I'll be honest, I'm more in it for the experience and having fun with people than for the game itself. So I haven't played it since I played it that first time, but it took about 2 hours to get through the first campaign. And so that's a long time for me. I like variety and I guess I'm kind of ADD. Like I flit and I like shiny things. And so I like games that are 30 minutes to an hour long. Yeah, but they can be very in depth. I don't own many heavy games, those like 10 out of 10 type of heavyweight games, because they take a long time to learn and a long time to teach. And I just want to play. So, yeah. Yep.
Are there any other questions?
I'm thinking about groups, community. And so do you have game recommendations for larger groups? And what is the largest group you've had playing one single game?
Yeah, I think 14 people is the largest group I've had playing a single game. And that was here, and we played Wavelength, which I brought as an example. So Wavelength is one where you split into two teams and you have a person at the front, and it changes, who is trying to get you to guess a pie piece in a chart. So you have a word, you have two separate things, hot and cold. And so the pie piece is in the center, and they want you to guess that pie piece in the center. So they have to give you a word that's going to get you to guess that pie piece in the center. So what do you think would be in between, right in the center, hot and cold? Warm. Yeah. So if you say warm, you're going to try and get them to guess that spot right there. And then you get points based on if you guess it. So that's the one, that's the most people I've had. That's a really good one. Linky is also a good one if you like trivia. So Linky is one where a person, there's like a host or whatever, and they're going to read clues off of a card. And then you're going to try and guess that clue. And then you take the first letter of that clue to spell out another clue. So it's a little bit more in depth than just trivia, like Trivial Pursuit. But that's another one that's really good for a big group or a party. Family Feud is also another good one. Everybody typically knows Family Feud. They've seen it on TV, and they have that as a game as well. So yeah. Yeah. I really do love co-op games though for people. Just one is an example. You've got a card with a bunch of clues. You're trying to get that person to guess the clue that they've picked, number one, let's say, and it's France. And so you all are going to write a clue on your dry erase board. And then you show the clue to each other. If any of you have the same clue, you have to cancel it out. So that person now does not have that clue to guess anymore. And so basically then you show your clues, the person tries to guess what their word was that they had selected. So that's a really good one for groups. Just one. Yep. And I have it up here as an example. Afterwards, if you all want to come up and check out the games, you can look at them, pick around in them. Don't take them home. But yeah, I knew David would try.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I do want to follow up because I have to tell the story. So we played, this was I think 2019.
Yeah,
we went
something
to
like that,
Instruction Con, and
2018,
we played the game Pandemic, and I went home immediately and bought Pandemic.
Yeah.
And then I never played it for obvious reasons.
Yes.
So it is sitting unopened in my game closet to this day. I have not touched it because I haven't felt like wanting to play Pandemic.
Yes, yeah. And there's so many versions of Pandemic too. Like that's one that has a lot of versions. There's also something called a legacy game. Pandemic has lots of legacy games. And a legacy game is where you're playing the game and you make changes while you're playing the game to the game itself. So like in Pandemic Legacy, there's a card that you rip up and never use again. So it changes the game completely as you go, and you can never go back and replay it the same way. So that's also a thing. I don't own any legacy games because I like replayability in my games. So, yep. Yeah.
So, what about like Five Crowns and Skip Bow
Yes.
and Blank Slate? You talking about board games, so I think of like Sorry, where you have a board.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there a different definition for those with cards? Or
No.
are they still considered in the board game category?
We're still I consider them in the board game category. I guess tabletop games would be a more general term that you could use for it. But when I say board games, I mean card games. I love Five Crowns. That's one of my favorites. Skippo, love it. My mom and I grew up playing Nerds. I don't know if you know of Nerds. Very fast-paced game where you're like basically playing group solitaire. Essentially, you're putting the aces in the center and you're trying to get rid of your nerds pile. And then you scream nerds once you've gotten rid of that nerds pile. Very intense. My mom and I are very competitive. So she would not let me win when I was a kid either. That was not a thing. But she taught me how to be competitive. So yeah, Nerds was one that I grew up on. I love card games, especially because it's so easy to take along anywhere. And you have a wide variety of games that you can play. So yeah. Yeah, but tabletop games would be the more general term. Yep.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming today, and thank you to Sarah for sharing your passion with us. And enjoy the Spring Arts Festival and have a great summer, everybody. Oh, I
Yeah.
feel weird saying that, but anyway, take care, everyone.